This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. Consider this your vitamin or supplement today for your mind and heart. And wherever you download podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom? If you would leave a rating and a review, especially on iTunes, but anywhere on Stitcher, Spotify, lots of the other places where you listen to this podcast. And please spread the word and tell your friends about it. Today I want to talk about the fact that vision or mission must drive your direction. The purpose of this particular episode isn't to describe the difference between vision and mission. That would take us a lifetime, and there are advocates on all sides of what a vision is and how important it is and what the mission of the organization or even the mission of your life is. And many times people use the words interchangeably, but there are vision people and mission people who that drives absolutely crazy. But if we could just use the words in their most general, broad context, that'll be helpful for our purposes today. And in the future, we'll do a deep dive into both of the words and what the meaning is. But there has to be something that drives your direction, whether you want to call that vision or mission, depending on if you're talking about an organization or an entity or your family or yourself or your faith. We have to have something that serves as a compass, something foundational in our life that is leading us and directing us. And so I would just ask that question in a general way today. In your life, what drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? For your family, what are your goals, your purposes, your vision, your mission? Where you work? Anything that you're involved with, just ask yourself today, what really is the vision and mission of my organization? And I'm going to give us some thoughts as to why it's important that there has to be a value, there has to be a vision, there has to be a goal, there has to be a mission that is driving our direction. For if not, we'll become captive to what everyone else wants us to do, or what's the latest, the greatest, the hottest thing that happens to be happening. Well, the word in the sentence that vision or mission must drive your direction, we need a leader to help us. And I want to talk about a directional leader. If you're the leader in your home, you're certainly the leader in your life, in your enterprise that you are involved with. What is the direction? Now, if you're a person of faith, you're getting your direction from the Lord, from the Holy Scripture. I understand that. But let's take it to another category of whatever the line of work that you're involved with. What is the direction that the entity is going? Now, that doesn't mean, as it may have meant in a few generations ago, that the leader just told us all what we were going to do. He or she said, here's the direction, just go, and we all saluted and went that direction. By saying that the leader must be directional does not mean that she or he is the only one who has any input and the only one who speaks into it. You can be a directional leader even though you have everyone around the table and do your best to build consensus. Even when we come to a consensus, we have to be going in a particular direction. Sometimes leaders shy away. They don't want to appear as authoritative or autocratic, and so they kind of hang back. But ultimately, even when we have taken surveys, we've listened to everyone's opinion, we've tried to get consensus and get everyone on board as much as possible. Still, if you're the leader in the organization, you have to say, this is the way we are going. Someone has to direct. Now, again, we consult with a lot, take a lot into our path to help us understand what we need to do. But if the direction is agreed upon, somebody has to direct, and oftentimes that needs to be the leader, if not all of the time. Now, just because I use the word directional does not mean that you micromanage everyone. I think the people who have been on staff with me would probably have many critiques about my leadership, but I do not think I've ever been accused of micromanaging. I always tried to bring in a person to do a particular thing who was good at that. And if they were good at it, I didn't need to micromanage. I may not even know the best thing to do in their area. So I always believed, put the best people in charge, turn them loose. It doesn't mean you didn't give guidance. You weren't there to help them, but you didn't go and hold their hand. I think this is a whole area of leadership that some really struggle with, that keep trying to replicate themselves in every staff hire they do. Your organization probably cannot stand more than one of you, two at the most. You need people who think differently, have different personalities, a different perspective, because when you do bring those different kinds of leaders to the table, it is amazing that all of us are much smarter than any one of us, and because of perspective, personality, background, temperament, I found those things to be very helpful. And even when I didn't want to admit it in the early days of my leadership, I learned things by listening to perspectives that were different than my own. So hire the good people. You still have to give direction, but bring in good people. Don't micromanage them. Listen to them. But even then, at the end of the day, there's usually someone who is tasked with the responsibility of saying, here's the direction we're going, and here's the way we're moving. I think you have to have a vision or a mission, and it must drive the direction of your life and your organization. And when you have that vision and mission, and you are clear on that subject, it gives you confidence. There seems to be more fear in places where no one knows what to do, no one knows what we should do, and everyone is running around trying to figure out what we do. But when there is a consensus, when there's a leader who says, this is what we're going to do, this is the direction we're headed, it not only gives the leader confidence, it gives everyone in the sphere of the leader confidence. The whole organization's confidence level is lifted. I'm not talking about any kind of a particular leadership style. I'm just talking about the fact that your vision or mission, if it's driving the organization and we are confident this is who we've been called to be, this is the direction we must go, then it gives the leader and everyone in the organization confidence. That's why there has to be a vision or mission that drives your direction. I want to look at the word direction for a moment. I do a lot of driving. In the 22 counties where my responsibilities are mostly, I drive to those places. And even though I'm going in a particular direction, I don't just head in one direction and never turn and never have curves and never have to go left and right. Your direction can change just because you have started in one particular direction. Perhaps after a while, or with new information or new highlights, new people, new opportunities, you'll decide to change direction. It's all right to change direction. There are often times that a new direction is forced upon us. As I think I have told you, I have some oversight of 70 congregations in 22 counties in my state. And in one very little town, and I mean think of the tiniest town you've been to, and you will have in mind the place that I'm talking about. The church had fallen on difficult times and had dwindled greatly in number. And I called on an old friend who we had pastored together when we were young men and asked him to come and just fill in and love the people and preach for a few weeks. And he agreed to do so, and he drove from the town where he lived to this town. And then I appointed him the pastor. Then on top of all of that, the building, the physical structure was condemned. So here was this discouraged little group, and now they're having to move out of their building. But the leader was optimistic, and he's an encouraging and a happy soul, and he called me one day and said, Ron, we are going to meet in a funeral home. A funeral home has agreed to house us for a few weeks. And I thought, a dying congregation in a funeral home. Now that is a prescription for death all the way around, but what could I say? And I said, okay, go for it. Last summer, I happened to pay a visit on a Sunday to that particular place. I located the funeral home in that little village and pulled into the parking lot, got myself together, went in, opened the door, and felt like I must have walked into someone's funeral and that the church would be down the hall in some little room. But I saw that the pastor was up in front, and to my surprise, the place was packed. There were 4 to 5 times as many people meeting at that congregation in a funeral home than were in the old building the last time I had been there. And I thought of the pastor, the leader. He may not be the person that someone would put on a whiteboard and say, if you're looking for a leader, here is this kind of a person. But what did he do? He gave them a vision and a mission of what they could do. And even when they had to change and they lost their building and had to go in a place that most of us wouldn't want to go, he led them in the change to the point, fast forward to just a few weeks ago, I was there to dedicate their new building. There were over 100 people in that little town, in that building. Everything rises and falls on leadership, as John Maxwell has so eloquently and often said. But one of the things about a leader is the vision and mission drive your direction. Not buildings that are falling down, not what everyone else says, but the direction comes from your vision and mission. And even when you have to change, it is the leader who reminds us of what we need to do. So I want to shout out to Pastor Mike. Job well done. The other thing I would say about a vision and a mission driving your direction is you have to be vigilant, leader. There is such a thing as vision leak. It's often when I'm with organizations and their leadership teams, I will say to them, well, when they're talking about we're not doing this, we're not doing that, and I ask them, well, what is your mission or vision? Do you have a plan? Do you know what direction you're headed? And either they have no answer or they'll all have a different answer. Whatever the vision and mission of your organization is, however it came about, whether through group or a small group, a consensus, whatever, makes no difference. As the leader, you have to be vigilant in stewarding the vision, because I'm here to tell you, vision leaks. You may think as the leader, because you deal with it, you handle it, you're thinking about it, you're planning, you're dreaming, you're praying, you're scheming, you're doing all of those things to see that that vision is fulfilled. You eat, drink, sleep that vision. But you have to continually talk about it. It has to be more than a slogan on a piece of paper or a plaque on the wall. It has to be a reality. The reality of what drives your organization. And it's up to you, leader, to be vigilant and to steward that vision. As a leader, you have a lot of things in the organization that you are the steward of, but make no mistake, the vision is one of the top priorities of what you are there to shepherd through. And remember, you just have to keep repeating it over and over again before people catch on. Be vigilant, and if it has to change, be like my friend Mike. Make the change, but don't lose the vision. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope today this has been like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you download podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, spread the word, leave a rating and a brief written review on iTunes. It would be very helpful. And until next time, leader, remember, be vigilant with the vision. It's your responsibility. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying, leader, you're doing better than you think you are, and have a great and blessed week.